problem.
And I will send you a text after to follow up. Okay. Hello, everybody. I just need to change the view here so it's showing both of us because I think that's good and you can see our reactions. We should be live here. Hello. Thank you for joining us for season 2, episode 3 or 4, something of Tub Talks. Real quick, I want to start us off. Quick land acknowledgement. I am coming to you from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I know lots of you are all over the place. So this is Treaty 6 territory. We want to honor our Indigenous people who have lived here for much, much longer than people like myself. Secondly, I would love to jump right into introducing to you. This is Dan Mangan, who should be above me. Um,
Or
Hopefully, lots
beside.
of you, or beside me, wherever he is on your screen. Hopefully, lots of you know who he is. He's been a big hero of mine for a long time, and he's an amazing singer songwriter from Vancouver. And we're happy to steal him for a few minutes here. So, hey Dan, do you want to
Hey,
introduce yourself? Do you want anything you want to
sure.
say to our
Well,
5 viewers at the
good,
moment?
good on you with the land acknowledgement. I'm in Vancouver, which is the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. This is the closest thing to us being in a tub together.
One day.
We can tub ether apart. Does
Yes.
that make
Oh yeah,
sense?
no, it's great. That's as good as your. Dan had an app idea for an app that helps you put your shoes on, and we are calling it Shoer. So get at us,
Or what
app
about
developers.
sure thing?
Yes, that's also good. But we should talk behind closed doors about this. Otherwise,
Yes,
people
this
are
is
gonna
all top secret corporate
take our
information.
ideas. Yes. So Dan is a lovely and storied member of the Canadian music scene, and I would say you've played all over the world. I'm sure. Um, so I wanted to get off on the first question here, asking you, um, what is it like being a touring artist right now? How have you found this transition?
I think the obvious answer is that it's pretty weird.
Yes.
Actually, I got asked to do a private 50th birthday party the other day, and I was outside, semi. It was like kind of like this outside patio, and it was covered, and everyone was distanced, and there was only 10 people there. It was very intimate, and everyone was wearing masks. Um, but it was the first time I'd played in front of people like in the flesh since March when
Mm-hmm.
we did a show at the Danforth in Toronto, and then the next day all our gigs were canceled. The tour was canceled.
Yeah.
And it was like very emotional for me to do it again, like to properly be in front of even a very small crowd and to
Mm-hmm.
feel the energy that happens when you are doing the thing that you feel you are meant to do and getting the positive affirmation from the people in front of you that yes,
Yeah.
it's working for them as well.
Yes.
And so that was really special. That was really wild. And I don't know. I mean, like I'm busier than I've ever been. I think that's the weird thing is that like we all had like a week of honeymoon, like yeah, let's just garden and bike rides
Yeah.
and
Great.
like
It's chill time.
and now I've got 2 kids and I'm Side Door, which was like a passion project before the pandemic, is now like this
Yes.
crazy full-time job. And then plus I'm trying to make a new album and record it long distance with the producer in Chicago.
Whoa.
So like I'm like in between emails, like sneaking off to try and do a vocal take, and it's never been crazier or more nerve wracking to exist.
Right.
Not to mention COVID or American politics, or I feel it's like spin the wheel,
Yeah,
spin the
we should
wheel.
get into all of that.
You
We should
know,
really dig in on the American politics today.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like there's so many things to worry about, and you can only worry about one thing at a time. So you like pick a thing to worry about until you spin the wheel again and worry about something else.
Yeah, I like to spin about the spinning and then nothing gets done. So
Hmm.
that's my favorite. That's my favorite choice. You mentioned Side Door. I want to circle back to that in a second. But I know lots of people who keep coming back to watch our Tub Talks every week. Thank you, Peas and Thomas Curtin and Dry Fish and all these lovely internet people that now we get to know people. Now we get to know people as their screen names. Thank you for coming back this week. And I wanted to ask you, because lots of these people are creators, what made you let's go back ground level. What got you started on this career? I know, so you're from BC, which for those of you who don't know, it's the west coast of Canada. Lots of trees, lots of mountains, lots of nature. But what got you started doing this in the first place? When did you start?
I mean, it's a pretty typical story. I had a band in high school and I started writing, terrible songs when I was like 15.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a moment we were playing in the basement of the local community center and we were probably like 17 and we covered Everlong by the Foo Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And there was only like 20 people there. Like all of our friends that came from the band had just come and they were just like hanging out and probably drinking with like, paper bags or something. And my buddy Julian, during like the big climax of Everlong, and I wonder, and he hit like our buddies like hoisted him up. And it was funny because it was like, normally when you think about crowd surfing, you think of like a huge crowd and people getting passed from person to person.
Right.
But there weren't enough, there was not the like physical critical mass to do that. So like 6 or 7 people picked him up and then just carried him around the room, and it was like the most adorable teenaged rock and roll moment. And I was on stage watching it happen, and I just got like this surge of like, it was like doing heroin or something. It was just like this like, oh my god, like adrenaline. And I've
I
just
am
been
the Foo Fighters. We
yeah.
are the Foo Fighters. Yeah.
And I've been chasing that dragon ever since. That's it. You just try to make that feeling happen as many times as possible before you die.
I would say outside looking in, you've found lots of that dragon, and I know from my short pre-COVID career, if you could call it that, you see little glimpses of that dragon, and then you're like, "Whoa, that was awesome!" But then you're always like, "Well, how do I do it again? And how do I do it bigger? And like, can it not cost me money this time? That'd be
Yeah,
awesome!"
right.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
um, so that's cool. That's a great origin story, being the Foo Fighters at age 15. When did you decide to be taking it like as your full time thing? That's a big leap.
Well, yeah, so I did like lots of coffee shops and stuff when I was in university. I went to UBC and did an English degree. And I do open mics all the time. And,
Hmm.
honestly, I wasn't very good, but I kept doing it and I kept getting like a little bit better every time. And after I finished my degree, looking back, like it's quite audacious. I went and got like a line of credit at the local credit union, and I'm kind of can't believe they gave me the money, but they gave me $10,000 to record an album.
Really? You
And
got a line of credit for an album? I'm terrified of doing that. I rely on grants, and I'm like, I'll live as cheap as I can and do everything. Like,
well, and I've done, and I there's another story on the next record that kind of doubles down on that theory. But yeah, I did. I made a record with some friends, and I kind of like I took this rationale of like, okay, well, if I was going to open a cafe, I'd probably be there 13 hours a day,
hmm.
and I like obsess about every little detail. Like, what does the glass casing look like? Where the pastries go? Where do the pastries come from? And what does the awning look like? And what font is on the menu? And what kind of seats are in there and stuff? And I was like, well, if I really want to do this, if I really want to play music as a living, I should put the same ethic into making it happen as I would into, actually trying to write and create good art. And so I took that sort of cafe mentality into it, and I I started applying to music conferences, and I just started, honestly, I went on MySpace and I started booking tours. And so like some back then what you would do is you'd had like 3 gigs on a tour, but you had all these spaces in between. So you'd write on your MySpace, like Winnipeg, like no venue, like message me if you want me to play your house or something like that. And then if someone from Winnipeg went on your MySpace page, they might go, oh, he's looking for a gig in Winnipeg. You can come play our house. And so those early days was actually kind of the inception of Side Door, which is sort of like a marketplace for gigs, right? It's like Airbnb for shows. You can play in a living room or a backyard or a bookstore or,
Right.
wherever, warehouse. And so those early days, like I didn't have a booking agent, I didn't have a manager, I didn't, no label or anything, and I just kind of like started to do it on my own. And lo and behold, like if you go and you play 500 shows, you're not going to be like, I wasn't very good when I started, but by the time I just did it for a few years and I was playing like 100 shows a year, I got better at it. Like I got better at performing, I got better at writing, I got better at playing. And, I think that like there was a moment I remember really vividly where I felt like, man, I'm really poor. I'm just like hand to mouth here and paycheck to paycheck. I was serving tables.
How
And
old were you then? I'm just curious. I'm always like
yeah,
wondering how.
I quit my serving job in 2009 after Nice Nice Very Nice came out, and
Right.
things were just so busy. It wasn't even that I had any money, but I was just so busy with music that I like couldn't work any shifts anymore. And my manager was like, "You quit. I'm quitting you."
I'm
Um,
quitting you.
because I
Yeah.
just like he kept asking if I could take shifts. I was like, "I'm sorry, I can't." And so that was like the cutoff line for that. But I would say like probably back in like 2006 or seven, and I was just doing lots of shows and trying to do everything on my own and figuring it all out. And I remember making a point of saying like, okay, I'm having so much fun doing this. I am willing to be poor my whole life. Like it actually wouldn't be that bad just not having much money, because if I have all this other cool stuff in my life, it's fine.
Right.
And it was interesting how like the second I like like in a really positive way put both feet on the train and said, I'm willing to be poor forever in the pursuit of doing this thing that makes me happy, I started getting paid for doing what I was doing. And
Wow.
I I remember I was in Austin at South by Southwest, really, really early days, first time in Austin. And the festival director from South by Southwest popped into like part of my show.
Hmm.
I was like, that's amazing, right? Like it's a huge festival. And a friend of a friend knew him, and I ran into him later, and he was like, "Oh, I saw a little bit of your show. That was great." And he said to me, he's like, "You know what? If you just keep doing this, eventually a check's going to arrive in the mail for something you forgot you did."
Hmm.
And that always resonated with me. It was like, if you just keep focusing on moving forward and doing lots of things that are awesome and interesting, eventually money will show up, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, sweet, money from that thing that I forgot that I did," rather than like doing a thing and then like worrying about money. It was just, and it's just the more you put all of your emphasis into moving forward and creating. And so when I made Nice Nice Very Nice, I was still $10,000 in debt from postcards and daydreaming.
Hmm.
And then I went to family friends and I did it again because the bank wouldn't give me any more money. But this is like pre crowdfunding. And I went to like family friends, like friends of my parents and stuff like that. And I was like, "Hey, I'm putting together money for another album." And I got people, like a bunch of people, to loan me like $100 or $500 or $1,000 or whatever from all these different places.
Hmm.
And you're talking about grants. I had applied for 3 consecutive album grants that were all denied,
Hmm.
and I was trying to make this record, trying to make this record. And I was like, screw it, I'm going to get the money from elsewhere. And I just made up a business plan and I sent it around to family friends, and I raised, I think, about $11,000.
Wow.
And magically, like the day before we mastered Nice Nice Very Nice, I got a letter in the mail saying that we had gotten a grant for $11,000.
Really?
And
So
all
you
of
just
those
send it
people,
back, and there you go.
I paid back everybody
Wow.
from who helped me make that record. And it was just, I was like elated. I'd never been happier, right? That was like the most amazing thing.
Hmm. That's a really good origin story. And so you talked about Side Door in there. I just want to reintroduce everybody here. So Side Door is Dan's new platform. Well, maybe not so new. I know I booked a show at least a year ago. It was my first show on the east coast of Canada. Played in Halifax, and that was my first Side Door show ever. Brought me the furthest from home for music I've ever been. And so now Side Door is focusing on live stream at home. And
Yeah. I
tell
mean,
us about
so it
the
began
evolvement.
as, kind of like, as you say, like the alternative space platform for playing gigs. You could book yourself a tour and do living rooms and backyards and stuff.
Hmm.
And so when everything transitioned for COVID and everyone was immediately doing just like paywalls with a video engine, and it was like YouTube, but now we're charging for it. And we started experimenting with Zoom, as like a medium for shows, and figuring out how to hack it for audio quality, all that kind of stuff. And eventually figured out a great deal about how to make it really awesome. And I think that like the thing that Side Door was always good at is making something magical out of something contained. And we philosophically felt that it would yield a greater financial and existential reward if you could have a smaller amount of people who are exceptionally engaged
Hmm.
rather than a larger amount of people who kind of were only half there.
Right.
And we found that when we did shows over Zoom and we made them interactive and we added Q&A and the artist can see the whole audience up to 1,000 people, and the audience can all see each other.
That is
And you
super
can
cool. I really like that idea.
it's amazing. And you can spotlight people, you get a cute dog in there, you throw them up beside the performer and you like get a dance party going, and all of a sudden you can spotlight all the people who are dancing, and it feels like you're partaking in something that is spontaneous and scarce and real and human and visceral. And it just feels like you're part of an impromptu community rather than just consuming entertainment.
Right.
And so we really focused on that, and we built a secure ticketing portal for Zoom. So now you can go on Side Door and you can sell 1,000 tickets. You do not even have to have a Zoom account. Um, and you can sell 1,000 tickets for a show, and all your audience will be funneled into the Zoom, and we launch it for you and we get you going. So it's been a crazy whirlwind. And in the last little while, we've had some pretty big names like Vance Joy did 4 shows. Tim Baker just did a show. So it's been really wild to sort of like see that weirdly the pandemic has allowed Side Door to adjust. People use the word pivot, and that's kind of what it is. But the platform now, it can do it all. It can do we're going to build a video engine side. We've built the secure Zoom side, and we can also do, when the time comes, in-person shows as well.
Cool. I just had a question come up in the feed here. Is that what you're doing for your live show, Ian? Yes, that is exactly what we're doing. And so I wanted to have Dan here so you could hear it from the man himself. That's exactly what we'll be doing on November 8th. Another great thing about Side Door is that I know it's because there's no overhead really. There's no venue to book. There's no bartender to pay. There's nothing. It's my microphone I already have. It's my bathtub I already have. Um, you can keep the costs low. So we're charging $7. I know that's pretty standard for Side Door, and we would love to see as many people as we can in there. But it's an opportunity for a really great intimate show. I'm really excited about our show. I have a poet named Brandon Wint, also from Edmonton, and he's a jaw-dropping talent. Like for real, we'll all be crying together on that little feed, and I'm so excited for that kind of energy. And then I'll come in and play a couple songs, and we can all chat, and we can see your dog. So that's November 8th for us. That's Sunday evening to kind of cap off this season of Tub Talks. So Dan, we want to be respectful of your time. I really appreciate you popping in here today to come chat with us about Side Door. We'd love to have you play a song, but we'll catch you another day. Is there anything else you'd like to tell everybody here?
Well, kudos to you for squishing yourself into a tub with a guitar, and
Feet are dead
thanks
asleep.
for having me on. Sorry to blab on endlessly there, but yeah, have yourself a wonderful afternoon and a great show. And yeah, I hope it's a whole lot of fun. And it's I think that the music is like the nucleus,
Mm-hmm.
but like all in there with the protons is like just the feeling of like having been a part of something and then it was over.
Yeah.
And so thank you for using Side Door. Excited for your show, and
We're happy to.
yeah,
It's gonna be a good show. So yeah, thanks again. We are really looking forward to the new record. If you haven't heard of Dan Mangan before, by all means go check him out. Some personal faves, I think, very COVID relevant. Cold in the Summer, I think that one came out sometime last year. Um, it's a great one. But there's a decade of beautiful discography to go check out. So congrats on that, and we hope to talk to you soon. Thanks, Dan.
absolutely, man. Thanks a lot. Take care.
See ya. So I guess we'll just have Dan leave, and I'm gonna stick around. I want to chat with you. I feel like lots of the time we're here, and I'm talking to the guest, and we don't really get to like talk to you in the chat. So um, I know how lots of this works. Is we get a handful of people watching every week, and I'm so grateful that you are here. And then we get a lot of people watching it after the fact. So for those of you that are here, I'd love to take a request. If you have anything, I know our friend Dryfish here, an avid supporter, is always asking for Everything's Changing. I'd be happy to do it, but first person to suggest a song, I'd love to play it for you. Hey, Juice Song, nice to see you. Can I do I Stopped Caring? This is a fun fact for lots of you. So I've said it on a Tub Talk or two before. I kind of grew up playing the mandolin, well, piano, and then the mandolin when I was playing my old folk band called North of Here. So from there, I switched to this funny in-between instrument called a tenor guitar, which is 4 strings, and it's tuned like a violin or a fiddle, which are the same thing. So 6-string guitar is actually fairly new for me. So lots of that first album I wrote on the tenor guitar. So it's still this funny thing for me to be able to switch over into new songs here, or to the 6-string guitar. So let's see, is there one here that I can do? This is Songbirds. We were singing for the seasons, little songbirds in the city, on the radio for no one, catching patterns in the air. We were listening for beacons, for the signals of the city, on the radio to no one, shooting patterns in the air. Though the birds need nothing from us, they just keep warbling above us. I'm saying keep singing your song. We were singers for the evening, though the day was moving slowly. The sun had watched us closely, kept her eye on us below. But that moon was much less careful. He was lazy-eyed and awful, just a satellite surveyor moving in gradients of gray. It's moving. We're still singing for the seasons, little songbirds of the city, on the radio, no one catching patterns in the air. Sweet radio, remind me of us singing for the seasons, 'cause us songbirds, yeah, us songbirds tuning in to tobacco. Though the birds need nothing from us, they just keep warbling above us. Though the birds need nothing from us, they just keep warbling above us. I'm saying keep singing your song. We'll leave that one there. Thanks so much for being here today. Fairly short episode. I just want to remind you all, so we do have that show coming up November 8th. I promise you I'll play like at least 4 brand new songs that you've never heard before. And yeah, really excited to tell you that I'm really working on my second album, and as we talked about with Dan, we're working on the big plan, and you got to have a business plan. You got to really treat it like a business. It's great to just keep throwing things out there, and that is probably the biggest step, but you also got to have a plan. So happy to announce I'm working on the plan. Am I happy that it's snowing? I am not happy that it's snowing. I, in fact, will be living in this tub and ignoring the snow for the next many months. What's the second album going to be called? Well, Da Happy Pancake, I'm thinking I'm going to call it Love and the Front Lawn. I have a song I'm really excited about that I think captures the mood of my last year really well. So I think I really want to stick with that, and I think it'll be kind of about shifting your perspective, which we've all had to do, and yeah, if you can't be chasing the dragon, as Dan said earlier, you have to find other things to really be fulfilled, and maybe some of those things you were missing out on the whole time. So I'm going to be calling it Love and the Front Lawn, I think. Yeah. So I hope to see you all next week. I have another great friend from Montreal coming in, and he is like the most charming human I can possibly imagine. His name is Zach Smith, but he goes by Fruit Snack, so I'm very excited about that. Any exciting plans for music videos, lyric videos? Yes. I am cooking up some ideas. I'm going to be working with some animators. There's no concrete plans that my brother and I will do another music video, but it's very possible. There's some other great animators I'd really love to work with. So that's going to be a thing. I'd really love to have a lyric video for every song that goes out. I'd really like to be spacing out some singles starting in next spring. And what are my goals as a singer? I'm guessing you meant singer. My goals are for you to not think too hard about me singing, which means I'm not drawing attention to the fact that I'm just figuring it out as I go. Hey Ian, I love you and your brother Devin's content. That is so nice. Thank you, Sleepyhead. I hope to be making a lot more for you in this next year, and I'm figuring it out. I'm learning YouTube, guys. Just watch me. So we'll probably leave it there. Thanks everybody for tuning in this week. I hope to see you next week. And if you haven't, they are only $7. That's like less. That's probably $5 if you live in the States. To join that show on November 7th. I can see your faces if you'd like to show your face. I can see your dog if you want to show your dog. And we can tell jokes and stories together there. So see you then. I have not been to West Edmonton Mall, and my favorite food is probably Chinese food from the mall. See you later.